All right, Cindy's joining us from West Lafayette, Indiana. Very good. And does everybody see my screen, the title of the presentation, where it says Montessori Marketing Masterclass? Again, just want to confirm that you guys are seeing it. Yeah, if you can't hear me, yeah, you might want to either just kind of refresh your screen or try reconnecting. Also, check your speakers, of course. Um, Okay, but I am getting confirmations. You hear me? You see my screen? So I've got the, you know, all the, I got all the lights to go here. Wonderful. Um, so, sorry, I got one little technical issue I got to deal with, and then we're good. All right, I'm good to go now. Wonderful. Thanks everybody for your patience. So, so take a look at this picture, and yeah, just you know, ask yourself if this image is somewhat familiar to you, if you can relate to this at all. You've got paper calendars and binders and piles of money and sticky notes. All the while, there's this computer sitting there on the desk that could actually be managing everything. If you've got software and internet connection and all the types of tasks that are sort of being managed around with physical paper and money and binders and all that stuff could actually be managed with a fraction of the time and hassle. So you're in the right place if you wish that, relying on word of mouth referral was enough, but unfortunately, you know that it's not. You're in the right place if you want to fill your school to capacity and have a waiting list that is always filling up. And you're in the right place if you would like to spend more time on higher value tasks like face-to-face conversations with parents and children. I strongly encourage you to stay for the full 60 minutes of this presentation because we're going to review a variety of solutions to the most common challenges of enrollment marketing. I'm also going to be telling you how you can receive a free guide to Facebook ads, a guide to getting started with Facebook ads that we have been developing a lot of knowledge with from our customers, putting this into this guide, things that are specific to enrollment marketing and specific to enrollment marketing at Montessori schools. And it does apply to other schools. Enrollment marketing is more or less the same, depending, regardless of whether you're at a Montessori school or another kind of private school. It just happens to be that our clients predominantly are Montessori schools. That is our focus. And you'll be able to copy things right out of that guide and implement them yourself. So make sure you stick with us all the way to the end, and we'll tell you how to get that free bonus. What I also like to do is hear a little bit from everybody that's joining us when I do these webinars. I want to make sure that I can tailor this presentation the mo to be the most customized to the audience that is here today. So in that chat box on the right side of the screen, go ahead and tell us, what strategies do you currently use to grow your enrollment? And I'll take a minute here because you're gonna have to take a second to think. That chat box on the right side, um, it can take a second once you fill it out to kind of pop up on the screen. So we'll give you a few seconds here to collect your thoughts, but tell us what you're doing today, what strategies you're using to grow your enrollment at your school. So Beverly shares she does open houses, she's doing Facebook ads, she's got parent referrals, and shows up at community events. Great. Similar to Beverly, Cindy does open houses, appearing at community events, word of mouth and radio ads. All right. Radio ads, those are pricey. Vanessa's also doing Facebook, and she's putting ads in magazines. Another pricey way to advertise for sure. Referral bonuses, cool. Car magnets and signs. All right. So referral bonuses. Yeah, that's very smart. So that's how you can really incentivize more word of mouth referrals, definitely. Pam says you do frequent open houses. You have a referral program for parents. That's great. Excellent. Advertising in Suburban Magazine, Facebook advertising, next door neighbor. Interesting. Okay, and a sign, that's very smart, Pam. It's something that sometimes people miss is that they actually just have a big sign at the front of their school that says now enrolling. Just let people know. Okay, great. So that's great. Thanks, guys. I am seeing Facebook a lot in there, so I'm glad you're joining us, and we can certainly give you some helpful tips on how to use Facebook ads properly because they really are, and I'll show you how and why they are absolutely, without a doubt, the most efficient way to use any budget towards enrollment marketing. And so now let's look at some important market trends. So, currently the size of the market, if we look at the left graph, is growing. The U.S. private school market has grown, and actually, it's grown by 25%. There's 25% more schools over the last 25 years. So not only as the number of schools growing, but that also, the way this graph is showing the market size is by the amount of actual tuition revenue. And if you look on the right side, it's showing that U.S. private school enrollment rates is actually decreasing. So the question is, why is that happening? And the reason is there's an obvious story here. As the market increases, there's more competition. And that means it's getting harder to actually keep your schools full. A lot of school directors and admissions directors we talk to that have been doing it for a long time, they remark to us that it used to be really easy to fill the school up. They didn't really have to do anything. They could just rely on having a great school and people would hear about it and the school would be full without actually having to engage in any marketing. And that's changed a lot over the last 10 years or so as you know, as parents, expectations around communication and how they actually make decisions has changed drastically. One thing, if you consider school directors stay in their job for quite some time, the average age of a school director is 48. 40 actually is 49. The average age of a school parent is 28. Interestingly, if you think about it, school directors get older every year. Not to make anyone feel bad, but everybody gets older every year, of course. But in regards to this market and where the challenge is for keeping the school full and understanding how to market and engage the parents, it's important to realize that the the parents are actually staying the same age every year, right? You're not moving your school from preschool up to high school. You're enrolling preschool children every year if you have a preschool program. So those parents that keep on coming in are the same age, and their expectations and their needs around communication and the way you engage them is changing, and it's changing more and more rapidly as communication technology just keeps on evolving. So it makes sense that a school director that is usually somebody that is trained as an educator, not really trained with an MBA or a marketing degree, has a hard time evolving at the same as the parent demographic. So that's where this market's running into challenges now. This is what we're seeing across the board. So, most Montessori schools, and I think any school really today, want to either increase their enrollment numbers or want to increase at least the inquiries of families that are actually looking for a school specifically like theirs. rather than parents that are just kind of looking for any place to put their children. And you all know that parents are the, you know, that those parents that are the most in line with the values of your school, and if you're a Montessori school, in line with the Montessori method, are more likely to stay. And the ones that aren't are more likely to leave in a year. And sometimes, unfortunately, they cause some problems, and they even take a few families with them when they go. And the best way to feel confident at the very beginning of the relationship with these non-ideal families, um, to feel confident to actually help direct them to a different school that might be a better fit for them, is to actually make sure that you have enough inquiries coming in so you don't feel like your back is up against the wall and you just need to take anybody that will pay tuition that year. So if you want to make sure that your ads are drawing in those ideal parents, then you need to make sure you are speaking to them directly. Your first step really should be to identify the parents that are currently enrolled at your school, those parents that are the most ideal, the ones that you want to clone, and you want to survey them and you want to understand them, because what you need to understand and learn is how they, in that neighborhood, in that culture, how they, the type of language they use to speak about the great values and benefits of your school. Then you want to take that language that they use, rather than the Montessori parent training language that they learn. You want to take their natural language and use that in the ads and on the web pages that are connected to the ads. So in fact, you should really be updating all of your marketing materials with this same copyright approach. And one of the best things about digital advertising tools is how much actionable information they give you about the campaigns. Unlike print ads that can't track anything, tools like Facebook tell you exactly how much value you're getting from every dollar you spend. But the problem that most people face with this is that knowing how to use those tracking tools and understanding what specific metrics are important to track takes a lot of time and experience. There's a lot of technical steps that you have to learn. Any of you can do it. The question is, do you have the time to learn and get really comfortable with it so you feel confident? So when I talk to school leaders that are trying out Facebook ads, I always ask them how much they are spending per inquiry. And to date, nobody has ever known that information. I often hear people say, well, we got this many clicks. And the problem is that clicks is not the result you're looking for, whereas inquiries is the actual success metric for your campaign. And knowing how much they cost you informs you for the future. So if you know that it costs you, let's say, $10 on average to get an inquiry, then you can actually do some really specific budgeting for your marketing budget. As a rule of thumb, right, you should always have 4 times the amount of inquiries in comparison to how many enrollment spots you have to fill up. So just to do some quick basic math to keep it nice and round and simple, if you're paying $10 per inquiry and you've got 10 spots to fill, or let's say you've got just 4 spots to fill, um, then well, let's do 10 and 10. It's even simpler. So you got $10 per inquiry, 10 spots to fill, and you know that you need 4 times the amount of inquiries. You need 4 inquiries to end up with 1 enrollment. So that means you need 40 inquiries to come in at $10 a piece. So that's $400 budgeted to achieve those 10 enrollment spots. It can be that simple. But you have to know how to connect it all so that you can track it exactly the right way. And also, I just want to talk about, an inquiry campaign, an enrollment campaign does not just consist of the ads. The web page that the ads lead people to is just as important in the success of an enrollment marketing campaign. And when set up properly, uh, a school's website should be getting found by prospective families, and it should be, increasing the number of families that are an ideal fit for your school. And then, of course, driving them into your enrollment process. Another way to think about your school's website is kind of like a billboard. I often get this analogy when helping people understand, what Hubly's web management services do for them when we talk about performing search engine optimization, things like that. This is one of the core features we offer, in fact, and it's, of all the features, I've talked about, this is like, it's a very easy to customize web page builder. And, everyone knows they need a website. I don't think I've ever come across a school that doesn't have something up online. But what I find is that most schools are actually using their website um, not in the most strategic way, let's say. One thing that is key about how your website should be designed is that the purpose of the website is not to sell your school. The purpose of your website is to get the right families to inquire about the school and just to get them to enter into your enrollment process. This is a very important distinction when it comes to web design, because you should not be trying to sell anyone on your school or the Montessori method from your website. That's what the rest of your enrollment process is for. When they come in to the open house or when they book a tour with you, the point at which they find your school online is when it's all about getting them to that open house. So when you understand that very, very specific goal, that has a very large impact on the design, the imagery, and more than anything, the copy on the web pages. And so now what I want to do is jump into this case study, Rising Scholar Montessori. So this is one of our more recent customers where they're using Hubly to manage their enrollment process, because that's what our software does. And we're also managing their Facebook ads for them. So not only are we giving them this enrollment management system that reduces their workload around the process, but we are actually we've designed their ads top to bottom, designed the web pages and everything. So they're just totally handing it off to us. So this is the only type of marketing service we provide. And so we're not like a general marketing agency. Really, we're a parent communication software company that offers an additional add-on service, which is enrollment marketing campaigns through Facebook ads. And if we take a look at these metrics, so over the last 30 days, if you notice the section there in purple says 30 conversions. What that means is people clicked on the ad, landed on a web page, and then filled out a form where they were requesting to be followed up with by somebody at the school. So we call that an inquiry. So that, for our purposes, we'll call a conversion an inquiry. And so they spent $295 on the last 30 days, and they got 30 inquiries at a cost per inquiry of $9.86. So that's great. So if we take that rule of thumb, $9.86, then, and it takes 4 inquiries to get a conversion, right? So you're spending about it takes 4 inquiries to get an enrollment. They're spending about $40 to achieve an enrollment, which is great considering when a student joins your school, the average lifetime revenue of a student, I would say on average is about $60,000 or $70,000 for the, depending on how long your program is. If they stay with you for the whole time. So on an average, it's probably around, 650, somewhere between 50 and 70,000 across the U.S. So $40 to generate 70,000 is a wildly amazing margin. And go to the next slide here. And so here's some other interesting demographics, and we're seeing this across the entire. So we've got a number of schools where we're managing these campaigns, and we're managing literally hundreds of different uh, Montessori enrollment campaigns. Again, it's the only type of advertising service we provide. And what we're seeing is, and this is really, this is something that is on what's called the targeting side, or when you build your audience, this is information you want to know, because when you're spending money to pay for ads, there's on one side you have to know how to design the ad. What should it say? What should the imagery be? What should the headline say, etc. Like we've tested thousands of different multivariant combinations of headlines and pictures and add text and all that stuff. But that's one part. The other part is the targeting. Who are you showing it to? How do you actually use Facebook, and how do you decide what demographics to show the ad to so that you get really the most, value for your dollar? Or another way to look at it, how you get the most inquiries per dollar, right? So you have to make sure you're showing the ads to the demographics that are the most likely to want to engage it. So we obviously, what we're seeing is not number one by it's generally 80% engagement by women over men. So you definitely want to don't like people don't understand right off the bat that you should actually not show it to men, not because men don't inquire. It's just that when you're paying for the ads, you want to make sure that your ad dollars are used most optimally, so that you only want to show it to the people on Facebook that are the most likely to engage the ad. Because if you're showing it also to men, but women are 80% more likely to click on the ad, you're actually losing money on all those men that are much less likely. So again, focus on the women, because this has been across the board all of our campaigns. The other thing too is ages, right? So again, what we're seeing is that the vast majority of the engagement on the ads, if we can take a look at the column called clicks, right, between the age of 25 to 44, we're talking about basically 95 to 98% of the clicks are coming from that age bracket. So that means you should not show your ads to any other ages if you're doing an enrollment marketing campaign. Again, people will be like, well, sometimes grandmothers or grandparents will actually, take a look. And that is true. Sometimes they do. And you can see the ratio here between the ages of 45 to 54, there's 5 clicks. But you want to make sure you're using your ad dollars towards the demographic that is, by multiple of like, I don't know, you can't do the math in that quickly in my head, but by a very, 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 very large degree, much more likely to click on your ad, which is that age between 25 and 44. So just to summarize, if you're running ads and you're doing targeting, obviously you're going to target in your neighborhood, in your area, and make sure you're targeting to women and between the ages of 25 and 44. If you want to use your ad dollars in the most efficient way, of course. And then another interesting thing here, when you get into targeting, is you can build a target by interests. So what we're seeing here is now we've tested many, many different types of interests. So when you're targeting, you're going to target by gender, by age, by location, of course, but you can also target by interests. And so just taking a look at the column that's highlighted in red, that's a CTR, that's click-through rate. So just to give you a bit of a benchmark, any click-through rate above 1% is good. Okay. Now what we're seeing here is that the lowest the lowest engaged interest here is child developmental stages at 1.562%. That's already really good. But if you can take a look at the very top one, early childhood education, again, these are ads that are targeting also people that are interested in Montessori education and Maria Montessori, but early childhood education is showing an incredibly high click-through rate, 3.3%. That might not sound very high, but in the world of Facebook ads, or really any digital advertising, that is an incredible click-through rate for an ad. So at this stage, that level of engagement is, it's actually very exciting. So something that you want to be writing down, making sure that you're getting this list of interests in your ad targeting when you go into the Facebook ad builder. And I just want to show you how this can go, because this is a very successful campaign. But the question is, was it successful right from the get-go? Okay, so no, it actually wasn't. So what we do is we keep on working on the campaign, and that's what it really takes. Like, the information I'm showing you here today came from months of testing hundreds of different Facebook ad campaigns for Montessori enrollment marketing. So if you take a look at the progression of this one, because when we're running people's ads, we're actually going in and testing multiple ads, testing multiple landing pages, seeing what works. We go in on a weekly basis, and we keep on tracking and testing and trying to figure out what ad combination with what landing page will actually generate the most inquiries for the cheapest amount per inquiry. It takes some time. For with this school, the first month we got only 6 inquiries. There were 6 conversions, and it was a cost of $42 per inquiry, and that wasn't that great. And we're like, well, we know we could do better. We had other campaigns that was doing better, but every area is different. So what we tried, so in the next campaign, we tried something different, and it was an abysmal failure. If you take a look, the campaign number 2 had 0 signups, and they spent $335 on ads. And of course, we were like, feeling horrible that, we tested something and it actually performed worse. But that's what it takes. You have to be willing to test and break something so that you can actually figure out what does work. And if we take a look at campaign number 3, we went back, we took the assets from the first campaign, and then we made one other variation on that campaign. So we went back to what was working somewhat well, and then we tested that a little bit, added some slighter variations, and then we got to a campaign that's working incredibly well, which has 33 conversions, 33 inquiries at a cost of, here at that stage when I took the snapshot, it was $10.29 per inquiry, which is a very that's a very well performing lead generation campaign across any benchmark in any industry. That's a great result. So we were really excited. And this is what we do. We just keep on working at it until we get it. And that's what it takes. You have to understand how to test. You have to have a testing strategy. You need some tools. And you kind of need to know how it works. And of course, we're here to help you. That's why we do these webinars, to help you understand how to approach testing, creating multivariate tests. Because when you create an ad, you want to actually test many different elements, even of the ad itself. So as an example, this ad here is the ad that performed the highest, but we actually ran over 36 ads for this school until we found the one that worked the best. And this ad is a combination of testing the headline and this video and then this ad text, right? And then what happened is, again, it's not just the ad. They click on the ad and then they go to a web page, which is what we call a landing page. And what a landing page is just it's a web page that is designed with specific rules that promote the highest level of engagement. So for the one goal. So if we take a look here, this landing page is designed a certain way, and kind of taking away your own opinion of what looks nice or what doesn't look nice. This is kind of like an objective thing. You don't want to get too caught up. So here's just some advice when you're creating your ad or designing your web pages. You don't want to get caught up in your opinion of what looks good or doesn't. You want to just focus on what works. So you want to test different layouts, different value propositions. The most important thing with a landing page is, what does the word say? That's where it starts. And that's the most important thing on web page, on web design, are the words. So you want to make sure that if you're designing a web page, none of that design gets in the way of words. So you want to keep on a landing page specifically, you want to keep just as plain a background as possible. Don't get too artistic with the colors, and don't add too many layers, and keep things kind of clean and spacey so that the words can be read the easiest way possible by that parent that's really just clicking through and doing a quick scan to see if this is something that they want to, go to the next step on. Um, and then, of course, after that, you want to have really your whole enrollment system should kind of work like a self-driving car. This is really the ultimate way to achieve school administrative workload reduction. And by the way, I do see a couple questions that have come in, Beverly and Pam, and I want you to know I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to leave about 15 minutes at the end of the webinar, and I'm going to answer all your questions. So please do stick with me, and I definitely will get to your questions about rural areas. We are helping customers in those areas as well, and I do have some insight on that. So so your enrollment system, if you really want to improve and simplify your enrollment marketing workload, you're going to want to set up some automated workflows to handle the tasks that you are repeating on a regular basis. So what we're looking at here is on the right side. This is an example of an automated enrollment workflow that we recently built for one of our customers inside their Hubly site. The reason why a digital marketing system is always better than print is that you can actually track every step of the way. So instead of using print ads and paper enrollment forms and things like that, if you're using a digital system, number one, you can't lose track of anybody because it's in the system, and the system will keep every parent at the right stage where they are. And number two, a system like Hubly, as an example, will actually automate a lot of the steps. So if a parent clicks on an ad and then goes to fill out the inquiry form on that web page, you can be notified. There's a record there, so you're never going to lose track of any of the parents that inquired. And you can add in walk-in parents or people that call. You can add them into the same system. So it's because again, we just started out as an enrollment management system. So we've got that kind of technology. That's where we started from. And so let's say somebody does get to that. They fill out the inquiry form. They can start getting, the system will start sending them a series of emails that will drive them to book a tour online, because another part of our system is a calendar scheduling management system. And there's other ones you can use if you want. You can patch all these different types of tools together as well. You don't have to use Hubly to do this. It's just Hubly has it all in one place, kind of configured for enrollment management. But you can actually, there's all these different kinds of tools that you can actually patch together and get to work in a sort of synchronized way. And then, so as an example, let's say a parent gets an email, says, "Hey, thanks for checking out our school, and please click here to book a tour." And it takes them to the tour booking calendar, and they come in for a tour, and you're like, "Hey, these people are great; they're a good fit." And then a week goes by, and they haven't filled out the application form yet, and you're like wondering, "Hey, how come?" Or maybe you forgot. The system can actually remind you in a week. So it's got that sort of user task management too, to remind you, like, Bob Smith, came in for a tour a week ago but hasn't filled out the application form. It'll tell you, it'll sort of alert you, so you can go and follow up with them. So again, helping you keep on track, and because everybody knows when you're running a school, you're getting pulled in 1,000 directions, and usually schools are understaffed. So it's very hard to keep everything perfectly organized. So it's nice to have a software system that not only keeps everything where it is and you can't lose it, it'll even remind you when there's something that you need to do to follow up with somebody, with especially with enrollment, which is so important. So again, you want to use digital forms rather than paper, because first of all, actually parents like it a lot. They much prefer using digital forms, but also paper is a lot harder to organize, a lot more time consuming. And so instead of getting parents to fill things out on paper, and then you have to manually type it into other places, or what have you, or maybe you can't read their handwriting. When a parent fills out a digital form, it's automatically organized in the system, and there's no other steps involved. It saves you hours and hours and hours when you just remove paper from the process, of course. And this is just an example of the Hubly scheduling feature that will the system will automatically direct parents to book a tour. um, Again, this is just an example. There's many of them out there that you can use. um, and it'll just ours will send out reminders upcoming to the tour, so that again you get less no shows, or at least they'll inform you 1 or 2 days before that, oh, they have to cancel. They actually get a reminder to do so. They don't just doesn't just fall off their radar. And another thing you want to be looking at. So this is an example of when all these inquiries come into the Hubly system. You want a nice simplified list of all those different inquiries. So this is an example of one of our schools, and as those parents go to that landing page and fill out the inquiry form, or they walk in and you enter them into the system. You can set their status, and depending on what they do, the status can even be updated automatically. But you can see, like, these are all your inquiries: when they came in, what status they're at, did they book a tour, have they completed the tour, have they filled out the application form, what stage are they at, and that you can easily search and sort and export it to Excel, things like that. So you've got one nice centralized place where you can quickly get a snapshot of all your different prospective parents and what stage they're at. And you can see who you need to follow up with, or um, who maybe you need to just update, or what have you. It just makes it very simple. um, and then another thing, what's nice about digital systems is that you get reports too, which can be very helpful. And this is when you actually have a system that reduces how much time and workload you have in your life. You can actually start to use this information, like tracking the performance of the different stages of your enrollment process. So this is getting pretty analytical, of course. And when we work with our customers, we help them sort of understand the insights that are sitting in here, and we give them, we do a lot of consultation to sort of help them understand, like, okay, well, here's some ideas for improving the amount of inquiries that come in that end up at the application form stage. And here's some ideas that'll help you get from the application stage to the enrollment process, right? So, like, you want to know why are parents falling off and not filling out the application form. If you have a system that's tracking everything, you can actually get some insights as to why that's happening, and then you can test a different strategy, or test maybe a small update to how you engage the parents, and then you can see the results of that over a month or two. And that can be incredibly helpful for, again, helping you reduce your work, but also the most important result being getting the right families into your school in a more and more efficient way, both wise, but also time and effort wise. So, you know, I want to thank everybody for showing up and, listening to me, uh, just talk for a while. We've got some great questions I want to get to. Just before we do that, I just want to ask, what does everyone think about this? All right. Like, I don't know exactly why you showed up here today. I don't know what your role is necessarily at the school, but I can make some assumptions. You probably want to be able to keep your school enrolled at capacity, with a waiting list that's always staying at a consistent size. And you also probably want to have enough inquiries coming in month after month, so that you're not afraid to turn parents away that aren't a good fit for your school. And you probably also want to free up your time from the boring and repetitive kind of remedial activities, like sorting through sheets of enrollment forms, so you can spend more time on the funner and more enjoyable tasks, like being in the classroom with the beautiful children, or being face to face with their parents. That's stuff that takes time and is a lot more pleasurable than getting a bunch of paper cuts with a stack of 1,000 sheets of paper. But you want to get you need to figure out how to get away from that. And you know that you're capable of doing that. You need to get some of these roadblocks out of the way. And you probably want to give up, sort of give your prospective parents a communication experience that is really uh, informative and engaging and makes them look forward to enrolling their children in your school. Because the right parents for your school are, if you have a easier time finding them and engaging them, you're just, think about what your life would be like if all of your parents were the perfect fit for your school, or at least a higher majority of them. Maybe that's your situation, but most of the schools I talk to know that there's always these parents that aren't really a good fit for this school, and they end up taking up, it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of your parents end up taking 100% of your time, right? Um, so, you know, um, you showed up here today, and I really appreciate that you did that, and you've made it a priority. Hopefully, you've taken some notes, and I hope that you're even a little excited about, making some of these changes. And I want you to know that, a really amazing marketing strategy can change your school, and it can change your life. But you've got to know exactly what to do at your school specifically. Every school is different. What's the skill level of your staff? What are the communication expectations of the parents in your area, whether you're rural or you're urban? What tools do you know already? And of those tools, which ones can be used more effectively, or do you need to change strategies and change tools? So that stuff is hard to figure out on your own. Let's be honest. I mean, I'm going to assume that nobody here in the audience today is a marketing guru, because you're probably an education guru. You're a Montessori guru. You're an expert at education. Um, and I'm not that, but I am sort of that marketing guru guy, so to speak. And so now I'd like to take a moment of your time, and this will be the first offer of one of Hubley's services. Now that we've done a lot of the background theory, what I'm about to show you is not one of our software tools. Rather, it's a form of consulting service, which gives you an opportunity to gain an accurate assessment of how effective your enrollment marketing strategies are. It's called the Parent Communication Report Card. So I'll ask first, do I have your permission to take a few minutes of your time to show you this? All right. I know there's a bit of a lag, so thanks everyone. Now they're all coming in saying yes. Okay, good. I was starting to sweat there a little bit. So the 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 Hubley Parent Communication Report Card is the fastest way to learn exactly what you can do at your school to increase enrollment. What we will enable you to determine is how your website is performing with regard to speed and security and overall search engine optimization, meaning how likely is it that parents searching for a school like yours will find you online. It's very important. You want to make sure you're getting in front of all those parents. And you're going to determine how you can significantly increase the number of inquiries of the ideal prospective families. And how you can reduce the stress and the workload of managing and what is usually what we find at schools, kind of quote unquote old school enrollment process that consists of a lot of paper and a lot of manual follow-up or what have you. So, you're going to determine, we're going to help you understand what's your situation and how can you best, what's your low-hanging fruit? What can you do to have the biggest impact on workload reduction? And the way this works is you get a 1 hour, and usually it ends up being longer just because, I'm a bit of a nerd about this stuff, so I just like to go on and on if you haven't noticed. You get a 1 hour live one-on-one assessment with me. Um, I'm going to give you a report at the end of it, which is very actionable. It's task-oriented report. In addition, if you're interested in using one of Hubley's services, we'll give you 50% off the setup and training, and also one free month off our subscription rate. So that's optional. You don't have to become a Hubley customer. This is a standalone value. This consultation, you're going to get the report, but this is just something that you'll get an additional benefit from. And so we're going to run your website. So this is deliverable number one. You're going to get this report, and you're going to run your site through an analysis tool that will tell us exactly how it's performing and all the key areas that determine if your school website is likely to be found by those prospective parents that are searching online. And we're going to give you that action list, and it's going to give you, the top 3 actions that you need to take to, with the different tools that either you're currently using or the ones that we identify you should switch to, so that you can get the most, again, the most workload and efficiency, workload reduction, and obviously performance out of your enrollment strategies. And then we give you an expense and revenue calculator. This is a business plan. Okay, this isn't just like what to do. This is like dollar for dollar. What is the impact? What is the revenue and expense, meaning, essentially profit? This is what we call a return on investment calculator. This is where you get crystal clear on what your current processes are costing you and how much additional profit the school could be making with small incremental, easy to adopt adjustments to everything. This is an ironclad business planning report that really you want to have if you're trying to make the best decisions possible. If you have to go to a board or talk to an owner or a partner, anybody that you collaborate with to make decisions, if you can show them this analysis, it becomes clear. It becomes abundantly clear, and to the point where it's like, okay, well, if we do this, this is going to be the result, right? So numbers don't lie, but you have to understand what numbers to look at and how to approach them in this scenario. So if you want to have an easy time convincing folks that things need to change, this is something you definitely want to have. So you're probably wondering what the investment is. So obviously you could just keep doing what you're doing, and if you're like most schools, you could be spending thousands of dollars on marketing campaigns while not really even knowing how effective they are. Or you could also work with a consultant, maybe a local consultant, marketing experts or something like that. And that's not a bad idea, by the way. I think there's a lot of great talent out there. Consultants are something I think are usually worth spending money on. It's just generally very expensive, but they do usually produce the right result. With this system, the question is, what do you get? So the total value of what we're offering here with the parent communication report card and the additional optional discounts if you wanted to use Hubley software and services beyond this consultation, the total value is $3,096. So that's our price for the parent communication report card is $498 for that assessment. The Hubley setup, if you wanted to use Hubley, we have a whole onboarding and training and coaching program that's $19.99, and then the Hubley system fee is $5.99 a month. So you get a free month. So the total value is $3,096. But today, the only investment you need to make or even concern yourself with is $97, because we're actually bringing the price of the parent communication report card down for you to $97. That's just for you folks that are here in this webinar. You can get it for $97. The Hubley setup is actually going to be reduced by 50%. So you can get a really big discount on that as well. And the Hubly system fee, you get that first month off for $0. So that's a total potential savings of $1,800. But the only cost to you today is $97 for that initial consultation. Um, so if you want to get more inquiries coming in right away, this is something that you want to secure today, as we are quite limited for how many openings we have coming up in the second half of February and March. We're obviously not going anywhere, of course, so you can sign up anytime at the regular price. It's $4.98 for the consultation. But if you want to get more inquiries ASAP and you want to get a great price, this offer is available today, and it will secure you a spot for a session in February. So you will be able to get a head start, a fast start to getting more inquiries coming into your school. And I also want to let you know that not only is it only $97, but we're quite confident in the value that you will see and feel really good about. But if you don't, we will give you 100% money back guarantee. If you do that assessment, spend an hour with me, and you don't feel like it was helpful, um, you don't have to, like, no questions asked. You can just leave and shoot our support an email and say, I want my money back. I didn't feel it was helpful. Maybe I didn't tell you anything new. We'll not only give you the $97 back, but we'll even give you an extra $25. The last thing that we ever want to do is take a school director or a school leader away for an hour of your very important time and have it be a loss of value. We want to only take your time if it's going to help your school. That's why we're here. That's why we focus on schools, and it's because we want to help schools. I mean, I'm sure you can understand when you're building technology, there's a whole number of very exciting markets out there. We do this because we love schools. We want to see students have better outcomes. We want, and we know that the better, the easier it is to manage communication and for the administration to have more time in their day and have more time face to face with children and more time to engage the parents. That's how we improve student outcomes. That's how we can help improve student outcomes, because we're not teachers ourselves. We can help make the job easier for you, help make it easier for you to reach your goals. That's what we do. And the last thing we want to do is waste your time. So that's why we offer this. No one's ever actually asked for the money back, but if you do, again, you can finish the consultation. If you don't feel like it was well worth it, you just email us at help@hubly.com. Say, I'd like my money back. Our support team will do a refund for you immediately, no questions asked, with an additional $25 for the time wasted. So now I want to get to some of the questions that were there. I'm going to jump back in here, and just let me know if you have any other questions. So Beverly's asking, you live in a rural area, and when you use targeting, such as women between 25 to 44, parenting, etc., I sometimes get the message that my target audience is too small. Yeah, so that is part of the sort of, it's not a perfect science, and depending on your area, if your demographic is too small, you do need to widen your scope. So it is something to note, and that's why, listen, the only type of marketing we perform is Montessori enrollment marketing, right? Surprisingly, you'd think that one Montessori school, their marketing strategy is going to work perfectly for every other Montessori school. It's not the case, and the real difference is the one main variable is the area. So and that comes into sort of, again, language, communication, expectations from that demographic. Folks in the rural area are using social media differently than people in Silicon Valley. We have customers in both of those scenarios, and we do have to test and figure it out. And so yes, depending on the density of the population, you might have to go wider. And again, this is something that Facebook is just like, there's a way of optimizing Facebook. There's some sort of, I don't want to call them hacks, but it's just like you need to have enough audience so that, because one of the things Facebook wants to make sure is that you're not showing your ad too many times to the same people. So even if it means like spreading your audience beyond a demographic that's even the most likely to, enroll in your school, if you hyper target too much inside of a small demographic, it ends up getting kind of really, really slow and actually quite expensive. The more hyper targeted you are, the more expensive it could get. So that's something that you want to stay away from. So you do have to go wider. So you might want to add men into there, and you might want to maybe even uh, target a larger radius, even though you know that no one's going to come to you from 25 miles away, or maybe they will, and maybe 50 miles away is just too far. But it might actually require putting your ads even 50 miles away, just so that you can get a large enough audience, so that your ads can actually be optimized, and that itself will actually get more people in your area seeing your ads properly. So it is a bit of a, sometimes things are a little bit counterintuitive, but you do have to test those things. Pam Perkins, sounds like, yeah. So Pam saying, Beverly, we get the same message as you. However, I list the categories as suggested because I only want specific audience. So Pam, that kind of just, just to kind of, restate what I said, going to targeted, um, generally speaking, you want to go after the right interests, and you don't want to be going too broad. But if you're in a smaller area, and getting too, again, you have to stay away from getting hyper targeted, and that means different things for different areas and different campaigns and different markets. There is no one way to do this for every type of business, or even the same type of business in every area. It is different, and you have to know the different levers, right? So another really important tip I would say to you guys is make sure you're you're doing the math properly. And my suggestion is to do daily campaigns, right? You can either set your budget to lifetime or daily budgets. I suggest doing daily budgets and making sure that your ad budget is set to be at least $2 per ad that you have. So there's a bit of a rule of thumb. You want to make sure that you have at least $2. So you want to take a look at your ad set, see how many ads you have in there. So let's say you've got 10 different ads that you're testing. So you should have at least $20 in your daily budget. Just something to keep in mind. But those are great questions. Those are, that lets me get into some of the weeds. I really enjoy those ones. Any other questions, folks? There's still some folks left, and I'm here to answer questions. One thing I want to ask is, everybody seeing the link pop down on the right side to purchase the $97, the reduced rate on that $97 parent communication report card? Just want to make sure that's showing up for everybody. If it doesn't show up for some reason, you can go to hubly.com/getreport. It's just you just type that into your browser, hubly.com/getreport, and that'll take you right there as well. Oh, thanks, Pam, for letting me know. And I'll just put the link in here as well. Type a message here. Chat box. So you can go right to that link as well, and that'll take you to the checkout, so you can get that that discount on the report. And one thing, just keep in mind, guys, we're here to help you figure out how to do this stuff correctly. Even if you just want to spend an hour, because like you've got everything else figured out and you want to really dig into your Facebook ads, we can do that. I can spend an hour getting really, really into the weeds on your Facebook ads, and and help you even walk. We'll do a screen share, and I'll walk into your Facebook ads and help you set them up correctly. Definitely make sure that you take advantage of this time. Uh, you know, and I don't mean to toot my horn when I say this, but my to get an hour with me for $97, not because I'm so special, but just because I have a lot of customers and a lot of demands on my time. This is something we offer for only certain scenarios, webinars like this, things like that. So I'd be happy to spend that time with you and help you as much as I can. I know I can help you a lot. And again, but if you don't feel like you get the help, like I said, just email our support team afterwards, help@hubley.com, and say you want a refund, and we'll send you the money back. No questions asked, with an added $25 for your time. So Faith is asking, you joined late. Is it possible to get a copy of the slides? Well, what I can send you, Faith, is you should get an email automatically from the system to a replay. So that should come in an hour or two. And if that doesn't come for some reason, then usually a few days after the webinar, my team will get a recording of it posted online, so I can send you a link as well. Beverly, thank you for your time today. You're very welcome. I hope it was helpful and informative, and stay in touch. Here's my email address in case anybody has any other questions, after the webinar, and or if you run into any technical issues on the replay or something like that, just email me, jono@hubley.com, and we will figure anything out for you. Okay, well, we got a few folks purchasing this parent communication assessment, and I want to urge you guys that this is an hour. It's $97 that is going to, and I'll say this, I promise it will have a pretty big impact on your ability to optimize your enrollment process. Usually we charge $4.98 for this because of the value, and obviously because it's an hour with me. And again, not that I'm some super famous man, but like just due to the position I'm in as a CEO of this, growing, well-established, software company. This is a new initiative we're actually running, and it's something we're really excited about. And this is a kind of a fleeting opportunity because, it's not going to be with me one-on-one for that much longer. To be honest, this is something that we're kind of piloting, and we've been doing it for a little while now. We've got it really well figured out how to best get you the most information that's going to be the most helpful. And we're offering that for you today for $97 with a 100% money back guarantee, $25 for your time. I know I sound like it's a big heavy sales pitch here, but I actually really believe it's as far as any type of consulting or maybe course you can sign up for. I believe this is going to be the most value you ever get for $97 in regards to learning how to improve your enrollment marketing system. So I do hope I get to spend time with you. I'm going to leave this up for a couple more minutes, and then we'll end the session. Are there any other questions from the audience today? We've had some really great questions. I really appreciate the engagement. It's really actually the first time, I have to say, for the first time, I've got a couple folks in here asking questions that weren't overly, that they're clear that you're working at it, you're in Facebook, you're building ads yourself. So it's actually fun to answer those questions. Usually I'm answering much the more basic questions. So if there are any more advanced questions, please do shoot them out. It makes it all the more fun for me here. Makes me sound, gives me an opportunity to sound like I'm smart, which is a rare opportunity for me. Great, Webby. Thanks, Laura. I could also try to play some music from my band. That's right. Before I was a school communication software expert, I was a drummer. So Pam's asking, what is the cost for your company to take a look at our website and give advice on how to improve it? Pam, $97. That's what it is. That's if that's what you need to do in that session, we can dig into that. So I regularly I would tell you that would be 498 for that type of consulting. This is your opportunity today to get it for $97. If that's going to be the most helpful use of my time to do an assessment of your website and give advice on how to improve it, we can certainly do that within the hour. And I'm happy to do that for the $97. Absolutely. So you should just go ahead and click on that button. And so, yeah, Pam, I'd love to do that. I'd love to take a look at your website. Those are the two things, well, that's one of the components of the assessment in any event, but we can make that this is a very flexible thing. It's your time, of course. You're paying for it essentially. So we want to make sure that it delivers the most value. If you need kind of general advice, we'll take you through the standard assessment that covers the areas that I showed you. But if really you need much more specific, consulting, we can spend that hour digging through your website. And an hour on your website would definitely would I think would probably suffice for a school website. An hour is definitely enough time to do a complete assessment. So certainly certainly a good use of that $97. There's no question. And like I said, if you feel like it wasn't useful, you know, you don't have to tell me. You don't have to go. We don't have to have this uncomfortable conversation where you say, "Hey, Jono, I didn't like it. Can I have my money back?" We can end the session. You can say, "Thanks, Jono, that was amazing," and then 2 seconds later, you can email our support team at help@hubbly.com and say, "That wasn't so amazing. I'd like my money back." Well, I don't even need to know about it really. So I don't want you to feel like I will be insulted if you don't feel like it was worth your time. So Pam, you're the administrative assistant and can't consult with the director right now. So yeah, so definitely share the, so take the link, hubbly.com/get-report. You were in the webinar, so you can use that for the rest of the day. And whoever it is that, whether it's your CEO, your director, any of them can use that link to get the $97 assessment. So it's something that you have an exclusive opportunity for, and please use it. You know, I definitely appreciate the position you're in as an administrative assistant. Our software product is usually used mostly by office administrators, administrative assistants, because usually you're the ones managing a lot of the communication and the paperwork and things like that. And that's what Hubbly comes to as our main software platform. That's what we help with. So it's like a tool for you. And everyone else in the school, all teachers and parents as well, for communication purposes. But so we're always dealing with administrative assistants, but we know that you're not necessarily the one that has the credit card or can decide how to spend money, of course. So certainly, share that link, hubbly.com/get-report, with anybody else that you think needs to see it. And we'd love to I'd love to spend an hour with you um, or your director or your CEO, and help you get the information that's going to be the most beneficial for your school. Okay, are there any other questions? I'll stay on for another minute or two just to see if there are any last questions here. I'm happy to also answer follow-up questions from email at jono@hubley.com. Great, and definitely, yeah, we'll send along the ebook. If you purchase that assessment, the ebook comes along with that as well. Did I even show that? I didn't. I forgot to show my last slide. So this is that ebook is the bonus, right? I was talking about at the beginning of the webinar. So if you sign up for the assessment, you're supposed to get it only if you sign up for the assessment before the end of the webinar, but I will make an exception, Pam, because I know that it's not within your power to make that decision, and I don't want you to miss out on it. So if you guys do purchase that assessment, we'll send along that ebook as well. So that's just an added bonus. So we've had schools tell us that they actually took the ebook and used some ideas out of it. Just actually copied the they just copied it word for word and just switched the name of their school, and they found that it worked really well. So I'm sure that wouldn't be the case for everybody because again, every area is a little different, but certainly a good place to start, give you a little platform to start from, and give you some ideas to just give you a head start. That's what the ebook is all about, and it's got some great examples of ads and landing pages, and we'll hand that to you at no additional cost if you do sign up for the parent communication report card. Well, I'm going to call it a day, folks. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to have you all here. It's really a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk about the stuff that I'm so passionate about and how it can be applied to help schools and prosper and develop better programming. It takes revenue to pay teachers better. It takes revenue to create new programs. It takes revenue to build new uh, play areas. I mean, this stuff doesn't happen for free, and you need the better you can grow your enrollment, and the more efficient you can do that, more efficiently that you can do that, then all the more wonderful programming children will be able to engage. So, thank you for what you guys do. And thank you for giving me your time. And I hope to have the opportunity to get to know all of you guys at some point down the road. At any time, you can reach out to me at jono, at hubley.com. And have a wonderful day, everybody. Talk to you all soon.